morning, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me. Down the inside, absolutely possible scene.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakely will dive to the inside.
We're robust. We've got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is not what I want. Does that sound much better? Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome along. It is F125 PSGL. What's going on? We've got new assets. We've got new game. A good one, finally. And we are ready to get underway. We've just had a lobby one. Nathan's been taking you through that one. My name's Joseph Black, and I will be taking you through the second lobby in this evening's action. And well, let's jump straight into it. Why don't we? And we are here with 20 drivers on the field, ready to get going for another evening of PSGL action. You can see a number of huge names littering the field. Of course, last time you had the likes of, Damien Curiel. No, in this one you have the likes of Damien Curiel. In the last one, you had the likes of, and you still have, as they're on the last lap, the likes of Kian Goedendorp, Angelo D'Ortenzia, Brendan Lee. By the way, that's actually how you pronounce Kian's name. And, here we have the likes of, some lesser-known drivers, but drivers who will be very well known nonetheless in the coming years. You think of the likes of, Cameron Dowd. His dad's in chat already, and he is one of those drivers who could be right up there within the next couple of years. You've got the likes of JST as well, who's already established at the top, and Race Imtiaz making a name for himself in this PSGL off-season as well. He's been a very, very good driver over the last few seasons here in PSGL, and we're very excited to get started. Don't forget as well, you've got some new teams. It's all new here in F125, and we have our first few drivers out on the circuit. You think of Cameron Dowds, Gabor Shontos, both part of the brand new SCI team. The Shazoo Phoenix Igniters are ready to attack this game in various different esports series, and I'm sure that they will be gracing the E-Series scene soon, as will the likes of TF10, TTM, with JST, Ryan Grob, both for TF10, and Lighty for TTM. But let's watch on board with Sergio Sobrino for a lap of the circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya, and it feels so great to be back. We've got brand new offboards here in F125, and they should be providing us some great action. I'm just going to turn up the game audio a little bit. There we go. Does it sound a little bit better as Sergio Sobrino, a 21.6 in that first sector, and the Mercedes leading everybody away onto the circuit. And, these offboards do look incredible, don't they? As, they've just been upgraded. No more Xbox 360. No more Xbox One. 360 was phased out a very long time ago. No more Xbox One. No more PS4. And we are here with brand new graphics. I say it's a brand new era. I cannot say that enough. 50.4 for Sergio Sobrino in the second sector as he looks to head to the third one. Of course, he's purple in that second one. We'll see if that glitch remains, whether he's going to be actually purple or not. He was not the first one out on circuit. That was Felipe Sousa with a 1 minute 11.8. His teammate JST, a 1:11.9. Sergio Sobrino up to the line, 11.6. That's the quickest of all so far. Buba, his teammate, goes up into second place with an 11.7. So the two Mercedes quick as it stands. Liam Stevens heading through the final couple of corners, and the McLaren is going to try and state his name as Campbell Adams, 16.9. Race Imtiaz, 21.8. But Liam Stevens, front row of the field, 11.7. Lighty and Buba, both 11.7s, but Liam Stevens almost dipping into the 0.6s. Looking at Oliver Knott as he heads through the second sector. He's a driver who has impressed with his pace, but not necessarily with his consistency over the last year, and is looking to potentially sort that out as he heads into this game cycle, driving for PGR at the start. I'm just not sure how long that one will last, but around the final couple of corners anyway. Not to speculate about teams when we're one round into the season. Oliver not up to the line, 111.8. He goes into the mid-pack, 7th place of 13, so almost exactly in the mid-pack. And if somebody goes in lower than him, as they do, then he will be up in exactly the midpoint. Igor Piasecki, that was, with a 120.0. Damien Curiel come around the final couple of corners. We'll see where the Aston Martin ends up going on his lap. As around the final corner, the Aston Martin goes 111, 112.0. And he'll be looking to improve on that one now. Cameron Dowd is going to be on the circuit. That's Gabo Shontos as Cameron Dowd goes up into 11th place. Gabo Shontos with a lot to prove in this game. And we will see what happens with this one as he heads through the second sector. Almost every driver higher 111s. Sergio Sabrino, 111.6, which I'd say just about quantifies as the mid-pack. And we'll see where everybody else manages to filter out, of course. Haven't quite gotten used to the dramatically different handling here in F1 25. So we'll see what they're able to do. Shontos, 50.5 in the first two sectors. And I reckon he's going to be in and about that mid-pack, because that was almost exactly what Oliver Knott said as he went up to the line. Shontos around the final couple of corners, he's not the only one, as I think the drivers ahead have come into the pit lane. Shontos up to the line now, 111.8, 7th place. We will not be having, by the way, and this is potentially the most exciting part about this whole new game cycle, we will not be having a lobby restart. It feels so good to say that. The amount of time you had, from a commentator's perspective, the amount of time you had to kill with that. And we don't have to do that anymore. Thank goodness for that. Labella in the second sector, 50.5 again. That seems to be what most drivers are doing in the first two. And we'll see what he can do in the final one. 11.7, 11.8 is about par. If you're 11.9, you're just above. Anything below 11.7, then you are cooking. And only Sergio Sabrino has done that. But he's done that by almost a tenth of a second. So the Mercedes is up to the front. Valentino Labella with an 11.8, going about par, mid-pack, 8th place. And Gianluca up to 9th place. Why is everybody, by the way, out of interest? Sort of half names. I don't know if I can fix that, because that would be quite nice. What is the problem? As Will Lewis in the chat, let's go Booba, and Topias Koiven, sorry, Tope, saying Will knows. But well, exactly. This grid is absolutely quality. I will say that. And well, we've managed to fill these fields with 40 incredible drivers, and that is just, it's impressive stuff. Everybody set their first competitive lap times in this session. And it's Sergio Sabrino who topped the lot. He's back out on another lap, and we'll see whether he's going to be able to beat that 111.6. He's weaving, though, because he's just getting prepared for his lap. As TTM Lighty, I believe, is he starting his own, as we're watching on board with the Aston Martin as he heads through the first sector now. He is on a push lap. Sergio Sabrino got out of the way, and he was able to find his way through pretty quickly. 9,000ths of a second down in the first sector, and he's just a 10th and a 100th off of Sergio Sabrino at the very top of the field. So TTM's Lighty at the moment, looking particularly quick on this game. He's not somebody that I would have expected to be near the top of this lobby, more towards the middle lower, sort of like a 13th place. But so far in this session, he seems to be doing pretty well here in Spain, and second sector time is going to be a 50.5, so it's almost 3,000ths of a second slower, and I don't think we'll be seeing TTM Lighty improving on his time, but it is very close, and if he did lose any time in that final sector, this is his opportunity to gain it up as final corner beckons, and he does indeed come into the pits. He does not think that he's going to improve on that lap time. and Sergio Sobrino around the final corner to start his next lap, as we've got yellows for, I believe, Buba getting out of the way of the rest of the field. Sobrino at the moment to 111.6. He's going to see if he can extend that advantage at the top of this field. Whereas Imtiaz heading through the first sector, and, well, he is not going on a push lap. Ryan Modler is he's just started his, and he's, oh no, I believe he's just finished his. Yes, he has, and he's only 1,000th off of Campbell Adams, or he's 1,000th ahead even of Campbell Adams, so that's a good lap time. Campbell Adams himself not pushing, as everybody appears to be going on a 2-lap push, which means that their first lap is sort of just like a chill, get yourself ready for your second lap, and then the second lap they're absolutely flying. Sergio Sobrino in the second sector, he's not pushing either, so maybe he's going for a third lap. That's interesting to see from the Mercedes as everybody tries to snuff out the beta, or not the beta, the full game now, but snuff out the things that they saw from the beta and from the last game as well, as Florian Fanzelter heading through the first sector, improving by 9,000ths of a second, and he'll head into the second sector and trying to improve on his 112.0, as he is about a hundredth off of Igor Piasecki and about 4/10 off of Sergio Sobrino at the top. Sergio, who himself came into the pit lane, as Fanzelter goes half a tenth quicker on his personal best, and we'll be seeing the Ferrari moving up the field, you would imagine, as that was Damien Curiel matching Ryan Modler's time in P5 with a 111.751, so that is an impressive lap time. And it matches everybody else as Felipe Sousa becomes the second driver into the 111.6s. Fanzelter can only muster 11.9, but he'll be happy to have bridged that gap as Felipe Sousa, yeah, second driver into the 111.6s, as Igor Piasecki becomes the third 111.675, a hundredth ahead of Felipe Sousa and 6 hundredths of a second behind Sergio Sobrino. Cameron Dowds looking for an incredible year as he made the transition over from PSF1 to PCF3, and he's looking to try and establish himself in the early runnings of this game, but at the moment 7,000ths off of his previous lap time in the first two sectors, slower than Fanzelter it looked. So maybe Cameron Dowds has found a lot of time in that final sector on his first two runs, just to make it up and make up that difference between himself and Fanzelter, of course. This game not necessarily preferring the pointy turning. Cameron much preferring a pointy turning, and he has found time in that final sector, 400ths of a second. He moves up into 15th place as Ryan Modler goes 1,000th of a second quicker than Igor Piasecki. It may not be as quick as the first lobby, as Abdullah Balash has delightfully pointed out, but it's certainly close. Lighty improving in the first sector, and he's gone again. 6 minutes left in the session, and we'll see what the Aston Martin's able to do. His teammates only 300ths off him, but everybody is so incredibly tight together. There's less than a tenth of a second between second and 11th place, which is sensational numbers, and they're going to see whether they can offset that. Lighty through the second sector, 50.479, 800ths of a second improvement, as JST 11.5 for the kick Sauber, and he's up to the front of the field. Lighty, bit of a wobble, and I don't think this is going to be a time up at the top of the sheets, but he's going to finish it off anyway, and he's around the final corner with a 111.748, so he did lose time in that final sector as Liam Stevens is heading through said final sector, and he's improved by 600ths of a second, and he could be on for a front row start if he finds another 600ths of a second in that final sector. But he could be on for P3 anyway off of Ryan Modler. He goes fastest of all as he's picked up the slipstream from that Mercedes up ahead. I believe that would be, indeed it is, Buba, who's given him a perfect opportunity. Liam Stevens, 111.5. He goes fastest. And, well, the dirty air that seems to be more dramatic in this game doesn't seem to be affecting the McLaren as he goes fastest of everybody. Buba heading through in the first sector on what I believe to be a push lap. And we'll see what the Mercedes is able to do. His teammates up in third place. And the McLaren in behind has just set the fastest lap time. Don't know if he is pushing, in fact. I think he may well just be sitting in there unless Liam Stevens is rushing back to the pit lane, because Buba is being matched by Stevens, and indeed he is not pushing on that lap. Campbell Adams isn't pushing either, but everybody is either on an in-lap or in the pit lane. Or if your name is Campbell Adams, you're on a push lap and you've just decided to make me look a bit stupid heading through the second sector. He improved in the first. And, well, he improved by literally anything at all. He goes up ahead of Damien Curiel. He improves by 2/10 of a second. No, 2/100 of a second. He gains up ahead of Booba. He gains 2/10 of a second. He's up on that front row. Even though he's currently down in P11. He wouldn't even make it through to Q3, but he would be on the front row as it stands, and he's improving once again in that second sector. So Campbell Adams, the Australian, looking pretty good in this one, and he's going to come around the final couple of corners and see where he is going to end up. No, he's not. He's coming into the pits. 4 minutes left in the session, and everybody just preparing themselves for their final runs as Igor Piasecki is the first one out on track. I can't change the onboard camera. Oh well. The things you discover as you head through the game cycle, of course, we're early in it. 3 minutes 40 left in the qualifying session. And, yeah, we will see. We'll see what ends up happening. Put into the chat who you think is going to be taking that pole position away. I know we've had a few boobers, but, yeah, Liam Stevens up at the top of the field at the moment with an 11.5. Drivers coming out on the circuit for the final time here in Spain on F125. Oh, F125, man. It's not F124, and that's why it's a good thing. It's not F124, and so we should all be very excited. We got Riz Imtiaz, one of many drivers out for their final runs. I don't think, in fact, that they will be out for their final runs. I think instead they are going for that the preparation for that final lap, and we'll see what they're going to be end up doing as Piasecki started on his lap now, and well, nope, he's going again. He's going again, Igor Piasecki. Florian Fanzelter, though, has found a 10th in that first sector. He may well have got slipstream off of that V-carb up ahead. I believe that to be either Gabo Shontos or Ryan Grob, obviously, because they're the two V-carbs. But anyway, that's besides the point. And Fanzelter's found a lot of time in that first sector. Nothing in this second. And he's backed out of his lap. So we have a look at the drivers up the top. Liam Stevens, JST, and Sergio Sobrino, all on their push laps. Sergio is the first one who's going to be finishing that lap. He was the pace setter early on with a 1:11.6, but it's since been beaten by Liam Stevens and JST and almost matched by Modler, Piasecki and Salsa. But Sergio Sobrino now heading through the second sector. We'll see what he's able to do up to the split time. It's going to be a 50.378, so improving by 0.06 of a second there. And the Mercedes looking to finish off in style in this session with only a minute left in this one. This is going to be his final push lap. Sergio Sobrino up to the line. What's he going to be able to do? He had that provisional pole position earlier on. JST and Liam Stevens went faster as the track got better, but Sergio Sobrino has found 0.07 of a second. Liam Stevens won't be improving on his time, nor will JST, and that's Sobrino onto the front row. Then looking at Ryan Modler, who's in that first sector now. He has improved by 100th of a second. Damien Curiel will not be improving. It looks as though he may well have crashed off of the side of the circuit. We're going to try and get an onboard of Campbell Adams, who is allegedly purple, as we just go past the site of Damien Curiel's retirement. And, well, the Aston Martin will not be improving from 10th place. Campbell Adams, though, was only 1,000th of a second behind. And now around the final corner for the Williams. Is this going to be up at the top of the field? It's going to be an 11.5. So is Booba's, but they are not on the front row. They instead populate the second row, as that is Gabo Shontos up into 6th place. In the meantime, JST retiring from the session. Believe that to be Gianluca going up to 12th place. As everybody finishes off their session now, we're going to switch to the other Aston Martin in this session, TTM Lighty. Looked to have promising pace earlier on. Is he going to be able to back it up here? It's the line that beckons for Lighty, and it's not quite pole position. 6th place, Fanzel to go 7th. Ryan Modler does not improve on the time. In fact, he's only 1,000th ahead of Igor Piaszczewski, who will not be improving on his time either. So a lot of drivers squandering their final runs. Felipe Sousa around the final couple of corners. What's he going to be able to do as he comes up to the line? Sergio Sobrino retires. He's on the front row. He's done enough. Sousa doesn't improve. And I believe this to be the end of the qualifying session. Not has improved, but not enough. Thijs Korsman was it not improving in that first sector, but does in the second. Half of a tenth of a second. And he's going to try and go up to that sort of top 10 region, I think, is what he's going to be aiming for, but only improvement by half a tenth of a second. This is not ideal for Thijs Korsman, who's going to have to do some re-evaluating ahead of the race session around the final corner then. And he's going to finish us off in this one with a 1:11.826. So enough to topple Oliver Knott and push the Williams down to the final row of the grid, but not enough for anything else. That's Liam Stevens who takes the pole position away. Sergio Sobrino on that front row. And, well, the fan favourite, it seems to be in the chat, Booba in 5th place. But the top 8 separated by a tenth of a second. 9th down to 13th, split by just 300ths. F1 is back, baby. PSGL is back, baby. And how exciting is this? This isn't even. We haven't even matched them on their pace per tier, by the way. This is just the PCF 2 to 4s. That's insane. Like, this isn't even the pace match tiers, and we're already matched on pace. These drivers won't have had enough preparation on this game, in their opinions. And they're setting these lap times so incredibly close together. Just incredible stuff. And, well, the race hasn't even started yet. Yeah, race hasn't even started yet. We're already seeing all these drivers so close together. Just for confirmation then, it's going to be, as I'm going to throw it back to scene. In fact, it's going to be Liam Stevens who takes that pole position away. Sergio Sobrino will line up alongside him on the front row of the grid. Campbell Adams, the only Australian in this race, is in 3rd place. And Reece Imtiaz takes P4. Booba takes 5th with JST in 6th. Lighty takes 7th, and Florian Fanzelter just a 10th off pole in 8th place. Then it's Gabor Shontos and Ryan Grob rounding out the top 10. Modler, Piaszczewski, Salsa, Gianluca, Curiel, Dowd, Labella, Korsman, Knott, and Justinette to round out the field. It feels so good to say this. It feels so good to say this. We will be going to the 5 lights very shortly. Screw all of this restart rubbish. We'll be going to the 5 lights very shortly. As I say, get those predictions in the chat, and we will see what we're going to be able to do. As oops, I didn't even notice that one. Anyway, we'll talk about that one in a bit. Anyway, the 5 lights will be very, very soon. I swear I didn't pick that one. Anyway, bit late now, and teething problems, but it's fine. It's fine. As long as you enjoy the new comms box and you enjoy the new graphics, we don't care, right? Because PSGL action is back. We're here for 25. It's all good news here in PSGL. And, well, I've got some more good news for you. Lights are very soon to be underway. The race is very soon to be underway. Obviously, formation lap, all that. Not formation lap even, lobby restart, all that rubbish. We've gotten used to waiting a while for this start, but we don't have to wait a while. PSGL Lobby 2 is about to get underway. And the action begins. Liam Stevens is off to a great start on the front row, but Sergio Sobrino's off to a better one, and he looks like he's going to lead into the first corner. Campbell Adams might even get past as Reece Imtiaz tries to squeeze his way through. Stevens on the outside line can't quite make it through, and Rice is going to try and tackle this third corner in P2, but he can't quite do it. He sits in behind Fanzelter, trying to fight with TTM's Lighty, but he might come under pressure from Ryan Grob as the top few seem to be filtered out, and the bottom few are scrapping it out. TTM's Lighty now past Campbell Adams. He might get past JST as he tries to go around the outside. He's going to sweep all the way around. Can he make this move stick? Can he get the power down? Doesn't look like he's quite going to be able to, and JST holds on to 5th. Florian Fanzelter in the meantime getting past Gabor Shontos, Piaszczewski and Modler having an incident. Gabor Shontos is out. We've not even had one lap and we've got our first VSC of this game. And it was as a result of, I believe, contact between Ryan Modler and Gabor Shontos that sees the RB out of this race on the very first lap of it. Not ideal, it's fair to be said. And for Gabor Shontos, that is the end of his race. Almost before it got started. We're about a minute in. And that is Gabor out of the session. But Sergio Sobrino, what a launch off of the line he took. And he leads the way. Now, we've got to avoid we've got to avoid a drive-through penalty. That is the one thing that these drivers are going to have to avoid. And one thing that they might struggle to avoid. DRS enabled though. What do I know? They've gotten off to a good start. Oliver Knott getting a better launch off than Gianluca, and he makes his way through. P5 is what he takes. Thijs Korsman gets his way through on Cameron Dowds as well, although Cameron looks to maybe come back. Felipe Sousa ready to pounce on any mistakes or opportunities, but he doesn't do it just yet, and he sits in behind just for the time being. We are only on lap 2, so you don't necessarily have to fight. Tell that to Igor Piaszczewski, who's trying to go past Florian Fanzelter. Thijs Korsman is in there ready to scrap as well, and he looks down the inside into the chicane. This is racecraft, not quite working for Thijs Korsman, but he made the move anyway, and Igor Piaszczewski, it comes under pressure now, loses a few positions. I was going to say it's good racecraft to go side by side, or a gamble on the racecraft at least, and Piaszczewski got squeezed out, dropped positions, trying to gain them back up. Oliver Knott is going to come under pressure from the Alpine down the inside, and Piaszczewski makes his way through, could look at trying to overtake the Aston Martin next up of Damien Curiel, but as they end the second lap, Piaszczewski has a lot of work to do to get back up to where he was, and it's fastest lap going Sergio Sobrino's way. Looking at, well, Thijs Korsman has absolutely dominated those standings. He's gained eight places off of the start, and Campbell Adams dropped 4, has now just dropped a 5th one, and he moves down to P8 after starting 3rd place. Looking at the tyres, there's a split of strategies though, and that is exactly why Tyres has been able to make those positions up. Soft compound tyres on the Ferrari, mediums for many in the mid-pack, and the top 3 on the hard compound of tyres. So just to start off with, that is going to be the strategic battle that already comes into this one, as the top 3 are on the hards, and they've been able to hold on to those positions. Ryan Grob in the meantime, 1.4 seconds off for TTM's Lighty, and he's going to lose even more time with all of the DRS that they're going to be getting down in this race. So that'll be a surprise, and that'll be a shame, as Lighty tries to go around the outside for this P5 around the outside of Jay. He tries to hold the position. It'll be the inside for the next corner, and well, the second was much more comfortable than the first, and TTM's Lighty makes his way up to 5th place now. The top 6 still within DRS. Ryan Grob is only 1.1 seconds behind as they end the 4th lap. Sergio goes fastest once again as he tries to stretch his legs at the top, but don't forget about those medium runners. Lighty, and then followed by Ryan Grob, sets the fastest lap of the race. So maybe Ryan was even further off of the back of the Aston Martin and the Kick Sauber who were fighting, but now he's 1.3 seconds off with that DRS advantage down the straight, gaining about 3 seconds, or 3/10 of a second even, down that straight, and Grob is gaining a lot of it in the corners, but he's not quite close enough to make that DRS stick and get back into it, but he may well just have done enough. He's going to have to hold on to it within the next few corners though, and there's no guarantees. But yeah, that was the only driver falling out of DRS that was not involved in an incident. I presume Valentino Labella was. And Ryan Modler looked like he was caught up in that incident with Gabor Shontos, who dropped down the field and actually retired from the session. I mean, I said he was involved. I think it's most likely that he was if there was damage on that car. And, well, we're going to end lap 5 with Sergio Sobrino still in the lead. Liam Stevens has gained a bit of time on the Mercedes, so don't be surprised if you see the McLaren's name pop up as the fastest lap of the race, as he's gained about a 10th on the Mercedes at the top of the field. No fastest lap, as the medium runners do prove faster at this point in time, excuse me. And, yeah, Sergio up at the very top of the field. Liam and Race making the most use of that DRS to make their way back through, and Race actually only 0.4 of a second off of Liam Stevens, so he's closer than anybody else in this field to making a move, or about the same as everybody else in this field to making a move, but it's a whole nother question whether he's going to actually be able to, and we'll see what happens. Not many lockups from these drivers early on, as they just they look pretty comfortable in these cars. They are much more comfortable to drive, I feel, than any of the cars on 24, as they felt a bit unstable, a bit oversteery. But those on 25 feel, yes, more understeery, but a lot more comfortable to keep in a straight line for an extended period of time. And that is exactly what these drivers are feeling at the moment, as they're just settling in. However, tyre wear, dirty air is going to be worse, and as the track beds in, you could be seeing lots of early pit stops. Bahrain is now a two-stopper, and it's not only a two-stopper, it is hards, mediums, or mediums, hards, or hards, medium, hards, whatever order you decide to take it. That is literally the only strategy that is viable at Bahrain, and any other strategy is just categorically wrong. Felipe Sousa getting past Thijs Korsman, who dropped out of the DRS on the last lap, as Damien Curiel looked as though he's trying to break the slipstream of Igor Piasecki. He didn't necessarily need to, as Cameron Dowds is going for a move on Thijs Korsman, makes the move, and Thijs' soft compound tyres look like they may well be going off on that Ferrari 6 laps into the race. He's dropped a couple of positions after that supreme start, and I think he's just going to try and sit in this train now for as long as he possibly can. He's going to lose another position, though, to Damien Curiel at some point soon, you would think, as the Aston Martin follows him through and potentially tries to shape up a move. And well, Thijs 6/10 off of Cameron Dowds. Damien just a couple of tenths behind, and he's going to be really trying to pressure him into the DRS straight. But yes, they are going to... They're going to head into it, to be fair, out of the end of it pretty even, as Thijs didn't lose out too much on that slipstream and that DRS off of Cameron Dowds. The data that I've been receiving, the data that I've collected myself, about 6/10 back is where the drivers have been struggling with anything sooner than 6/10 is where the drivers have been struggling with that dirty air. Anything bigger than 6/10 of a second, and they look like they're a bit more comfortable. So expect things like what we saw with Thijs Korsman on that last lap, where he was far off of Cameron Dowds. Cameron was in the dirty air of Felipe Sousa, so Thijs was able to gain back in. Expect that a decent chunk, and expect all the drivers as well to try and keep a sizable gap there. Following straight behind is not viable in this session. Instead, it is just all about just waiting and waiting for those drivers, just leaving a little bit more of a gap than you would have done on previous games and in previous race sessions. It's all about leaving that gap, and you can see all the drivers, they look like they're trying to do that, or well, they're unintentionally succeeding, with everybody about 6/10 back off the car in front, apart from Gianluca Nolfo, who is about 3/10 off of Oliver Knott, and everybody else sort of seems like they're trying to build that gap. Another exception as well being Damien Curiel, who wants to make his move on Thijs Korsman soon. Thijs, of course, who's dropped out of the DRS of Cameron Dowds. If Damien does make his way through on this lap, as Thijs comes into the pit lane, you would think that Damien is going to be able to make it back into the DRS of Cameron Dowds. However, no slipstream coming from the Ferrari in front anymore, as it looks like those softs lasted about 8 laps, and Damien is going to have to really push on this lap to make up the deficit that he had for sitting in behind Thijs Korsman, and at the moment he's 1.3 seconds off of the Haas in front. And he really needs to knuckle down on this lap and try and get back in. Otherwise, that could be a real killer. And he could be fighting for P12 for the rest of the race. Thijs Korsman comes back out of the pit lane behind Valentino Labella in P18. He's come out as well on a set of the medium compounder tyre. So a two-stop strategy. Potentially gambled from Thijs, and I don't think that'll be the last one. I think, though, he is going to be the only one on the softs at the start, switching to the mediums and switching back to the softs. I think the next strategy for those who are going to gamble it, starting on the mediums, is going to be soft. They've seen that Thijs' tyres lasted about 8 laps, and they're going to be taking that data, running that through with their engineers if they have them, or just running it through their own brains if they don't. and trying to source a conclusion off of that one. But those top three at the moment, all on a set of the hard compound tyres. They are set for a one-stop strategy, and they are set to go very long tyres. Making his way past Valentino Labella, and he moves up into P17, but 18 seconds off the field. He's got a decent chunk of time to be able to make up. Sergio Sobrino continues to lead. Liam Stevens getting closer lap on lap. He was about 3.5 tenths back on that previous run down the straight, and Stevens just now trying to back off of on the next straight, and that is just exactly what the McLaren needs to do. He just needs to get close down the straight, close enough to pressure, maybe force a mistake from the Mercedes, and then just see him fly away. Big lockup from Sergio Sobrino. Don't know whether it's actually a big lockup or whether it was just the way the game is, because that's just, it seems to be a thing in this game. Big lockups, hard to see behind. Was an issue at the start of 24, or at the end of 23. I believe it was the start of 24 at least. Then they patched it. They need to do the same thing again, I think, here, because that is something noticeable out of the first few days of this game. But there's not been that much to complain about. I think that's mostly because people aren't complaining because it's not F1 24, so it's an improvement. But there's always going to be a couple of niggles with this game early on, and that could be one of them that they point out. 10th lap of this race, almost a third of the way through it. Sergio Sobrino continues to lead. Stevens closing in again, 3 tenths behind, so he's quicker down the straight, slower through the corners, whether it's intentional or not. And Sobrino just trying to build that gap. He pushed early on in the stint. Obviously, we saw him take fastest lap on lap 2 before it was snatched off him by those on the medium compounded tyre. He is fast on these hards, but potentially he's sitting back trying to conserve because he knows Liam's not going to go for a move. Ryan Modler into the pits one more time. This could be to see the McLaren out of the race as we watch the other McLaren fighting in P2, or it could be Ryan Modler coming into the pit lane for a tyre change. I think actually that may well be what he's doing. So I've judged him wrongly, and he comes out of the pit lane onto a set of the soft compound tyres. The fastest lap attempt maybe from the McLaren, as well, I think at this point he's just going to try and have fun in this session, because why not? It is only a social race. This is not the true season. The true season will get underway soon, and well, keep your eyes out for that. Join the Discord in the link tree in the bio if you want to keep an eye out for that one, and maybe sign yourself up, see yourself on this grid. Also subscribe while you're here, because why not? We're on 45.4k. PC Tier 1 will be back this year. Don't know when, don't ask me, but it'll be back this year at some point, so make sure to stick around for that as the top drivers battle it out. And we saw Brendan Lee, one of the top drivers, in the last lobby. We saw as well Kian Houdendorp and Angelo D'Ortenzio, who could be looking towards joining that tier or the F1 grid even this season. Piszczecki comes out of the pit. He came in on lap 11 to switch off the mediums, so maybe they don't last that much longer than the softs. Maybe everybody is going for a two-stop strategy, and Piszczecki out of the pit lane on a set of the hard compound tyres. I think that'll inspire a few more to try and go for the potential undercut. We'll see how strong the undercut is on this game. Of course, Piszczecki coming in a few laps after Tyus Korsman did, and Tyus was up at the top as well as Piszczecki, or Korsman was more in the middle, and Piszczecki is 3.6 seconds behind. So maybe it's not as strong a strategy as it has been over the last few games. Maybe that's been nullified a little bit, or maybe Tyus' pace on the new tyres has just been pretty good. Is anybody going to come into the pits this lap? Of course, the top three are not going to, and no, they aren't. So maybe Piszczecki was just struggling with the tyre wear. Maybe he's trying to drive like this game was last year, where he could be a lot more throwing the car into the corners, essentially. And maybe that's just not paid off for him, as it does cause a lot more tyre wear. Isn't necessarily a disadvantage, but it does cause a lot more tyre wear on this year's game, as Gianluca makes his way past Oliver Knott into P13. And, well, this group have dropped off of the pack, as I think they're sort of filtering out into where they would be in the tiers. Obviously, qualifying was an exception. They looked very, very close, but there was a few off of the pack, as there's yellow flags out, as that's Oliver Knott. I said he made mistakes, and he's made another one here. Oliver Knott going off of the circuit. I believe he's just spun, and it's teething problems on F1 25 for the Williams, who spins out of the pack and that is not ideal. But I was saying that the field split is sort of about what you would expect to see. So those in F2 up the top, with Sergio Sobrino, Liam Stevens, Race Imtiaz. Then in the middle pack, you've sort of got those who raced in F3 last year. You think about the likes of Cameron Dowds. Damien Curiel's doing well to stay in there, a PCF 4 champion, of course. Champion in the end, by the way, because that season ending was potentially the best season ending I've ever seen. Damien Curiel winning that title as there was a send into the final corner. That didn't quite pay off for his championship rival. He did get the position. He went for it, which is fair enough. But the gamble didn't pay off. Campbell Adams back past Ryan Grob as those at the top of this pack are fighting 7th and 8th. And, well, they're just losing time to those up front. JST, 6th place, a whole second off of Lighty. And, yeah, the top 5 look like they are those who are prepared to fight for this one. Sobrino, Stevens and Imtiaz look best suited of everybody. Mainly because they are on a set of the hards, I think. So I'm biased towards those sitting on the worst compound, but still in the lead train. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting watch to see what happens throughout this race. But yeah, lap 14, Sergio Sobrino leads this one. We're almost at the halfway mark. And the Mercedes leads away as we do have a few pitters on this lap. Ryan Grob, Florian Fanzelter and Cameron Dowds all have deemed it late enough, but early enough to come into the pit lane, and they're going to try and do 20 laps on those hard compounded tyres. Ryan Grob was fighting with Campbell Adams. Then he saw Adams was on the white-walled tyre and went, nah, came into the pits, hards on. Florian Fanzelter has come in on a set of the mediums. So he's going for a 2-stop. Mediums, softs, I presume, at the end. As Piaszczewski goes around the outside of Fanzelter into the first corner, holds onto the position, and he's got nice, warm, hard compound tyres, so he's going to try and pressure Ryan Grob. But Fanzelter, interesting strategy there. I thought it was either going to be a 1-stop softs, mediums, softs, or... No, that's a 2-stop. A 2-stop soft, medium, soft, or a 1-stop hards, mediums, or mediums, hards. But it looks as though Fanzelter's going out of the box a little bit. Mediums to mediums. And, well, with Igor Piaszczewski ahead, with this field as close as it is, any gamble seems to be worth it at this point. So, absolutely, why not go for it? Cameron Dowd sitting behind as well. Piaszczewski has those tyres warmed up, and we have our first of the leading pack coming into the pit lane. Buba comes in, and the Mercedes is going to make a switch of tyres. What's it going to be as he comes off of a set of the mediums? Is it going to be the hards? Yes, it is. So a more traditional strategy for the Mercedes, and he's going to come out of the pit lane on a set of those hard compound tyres. Is JST going to do the same thing? Yes, he is. They're going to come out where? Behind Oliver Knott. Where's Thijs Korsman going to come out in relation? You can see him coming over the crest of the hill now. I think he's going to split the two. Buba ahead and JST in behind. And Korsman on a set of 7 lap-on mediums. He's going to have to come in soon, but not necessarily yet. Piaszczewski finally makes his way past Ryan Grob with the DRS, and the driver on 4 lap-old hard compound tyres taking advantage of the warm-up and making his way through into what is 14th at the moment. The top 10, though, haven't pitted, so we'll see what they do. I don't think they're all going to be out ahead of these drivers. I think it's going to be a struggle for Oliver Knott particularly, Justin Etz as well, and as well for Gianluca Nolfo. For those three, I think it's going to be difficult to get back into that slipstream, as we have our second pitter, Lighty, or from the lead pack. Lighty comes in, and he's the last of those medium runners to make a switch. So he's actually gone for the overcut strategy. Keep an eye on how that one works as he goes through this race. Where is the Aston Martin going to come out? His teammate is in 6th place, hasn't pitted yet. He switches onto a set of the hards, showing that only Florian Fanzelter is the one to switch mediums to mediums. And it looks as though he may well come out behind JST. Is he going to come out behind Igor Piaszczewski as they're side by side between Oliver Knott and Buba into the first corner? Buba's tyres, though, much better, and he makes his way through into 9th place. Lighty is going to come out ahead of JST, but only just. Fanzelter gets past Piaszczewski as he's got those hard compounds, or those medium compound tyres even, nice and warmed up and ready to race. And yeah, this is this is an interesting one to see what the Ferrari is going to be able to do in this race. Mediums to mediums has been the strategy he's gone for. In fact, did he start on mediums? Just to double check. Did Florian Vanzelter start on the medium compound tyre? Yes, he did. So yeah, Florian Vanzelter did start on the medium, so he has indeed gone medium. I am not seeing things, and he's going to be quickest probably in this second stint as Rice Imtiaz comes in from a set of the hards. So he's going for a huge undercut on the rest of the field. They reckon they can do about 20 laps. He's done 16, and he's going to have to do, as I try and do maths, he's going to have to do 16 on the mediums, so a bit long on the stint, but not terribly long. I think everybody else is going to come in the next lap or two. But for Rice Imtiaz, he's trusted that undercut. As Ryan Grubb sets the fastest lap of the race. Rice Imtiaz has trusted that undercut. He's going to come out ahead of Oliver Knott, behind Buba. And yeah, we'll see what he's able to do. Vanzelter gets through on Ryan Grubb. That's P14, switching the Ferrari's way, despite the fact that Grubb picked up the fastest lap on the last lap of the race, as Vanzelter will try to stretch his legs now on a new set of the mediums. Lighty gets past Oliver Knott as the Williams is really starting to struggle, as that spin that he had earlier really cost him, and with the older set of hard compound tyres, he's going to really come under pressure from those with better grip than before. He got Lighty overtook him. JST is the latest to get through, and Cameron Dowd getting through on Igor Piaszczewski. Maybe the tyre wear on the hards isn't feeling great, as yeah, this is an interesting strategic one. So Sergio Sobrino in, Liam Stevens continues on. Oh dear, Damien Curiel. He's been running so well in this race. A 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane for the Aston Martin. That's really going to cost him. I think it's going to cost him a battle for the race lead, for the race win. I really do, as that is absolutely race ruining for him. And well, he's got 10 seconds to make up now on a field that is pretty close together. Fastest lap of the race, banged in on that last lap from Vanzelter, who got overtaken by Ryan Grubb. So these two showing decent pace in this stint. And yeah, Vanzelter trying to close in on the V-carb as they've caught up to Tyres Korsman. In fact, it's not a V-carb on F125 anymore, is it? It's just a Racing Bull. I'm going to have to take a while to get used to that, but it is just a Racing Bull. Grubb has caught up to Korsman, whose mediums are looking a bit worn now. And if he has another set, now will be about right time to switch on to them. 15 laps is what they're able to do, it seems, at least, with what Rice Imtiaz is trying to stretch them to. 17 laps, I believe, he was going to try and do. Or 16, in fact, because I can't count. No, it would be 17, because they've got the final lap as well. What am I waffling about? Liam Stevens comes in on this lap from the lead. Around the outside goes Ryan Grubb and Tyres Korsman. Is Vanzelter going to try and do the same thing? No, he's not quite close enough. 3-second time penalty, heading Oliver Knott's way. And his race has just gone from bad to worse as he comes into the pit lane now and just comes out of it on a new set of medium compound of tyres. So Liam Stevens comes out. He will be... Where is he going to be, in fact? As he drops down, he's not with Sergio Sobrino or Rice Imtiaz. He's going to be out just ahead of Lighty and JST, who've both switched with the DRS. He's going to be out ahead of them. He's 1.7 seconds off of Rice Imtiaz. So, for Liam Stevens, the overcut hasn't necessarily worked, but if he can get those tyres warmed up, if he can get them cooking, with what we've seen with the pace disadvantage the further you go into a stint, Liam Stevens could have played an absolute blinder or an absolute shocker. We're going to have to wait and see what the McLaren does, but this looks like it's going to be a decent strategy for Liam, as he's 1.4 seconds off of Rice Imtiaz, and he is gaining time. They do, though, have Buba just up ahead, 1.1 seconds, who is off of the DRS of Sergio Sobrino now, and it's important that soon Rice is able to make his way through on Buba and just make sure that he stays within that DRS, because that could really, really cost him. And, well, with Campbell Adams coming to the pits on this lap, it's going to be back to the regular race leader. Sergio Sobrino leads it away. Buba's done 4 laps on hards. He's not as quick as Sergio, as the Mercedes pumps in the fastest lap of the race. He's not as quick as Sergio. But he's going to get through. Rice is going to get through on Buba on this lap, so it's no longer a Mercedes 1-2. But it appears to be that the tyre wear is so incredibly high, especially in the slipstream, that it's actually costing drivers a lot of time. And well, Justin Ett's making his way past Gianluca Nolfo onto the 20th lap of this race. It looks as though it's losing them a lot of time, whether it's tyre wear, whether it's something else. It appears to be that they are losing, in fact, a lot of time with how far they go on in the stint. And we saw this with Igor Piasecki when he was coming under pressure from Ryan Grob and Cameron Dowds. Even though that was only 3 laps, it made a hell of a lot of difference. It really made a lot of difference between the two. And we could be seeing that with Liam Stevens. Even though he only came in a lap later than Sergio and 2 laps later than the race, we could be seeing him back into the battle for the lead of the race. Buba's going to try and hang on to it with those hards. It does appear, though, that the strategy is the hards to the mediums. If you can hold on to the pace with the hards, that is, which some haven't been able to do, but those top 3, Sabrino, Race and Liam, were able to do, then it's a difficult one to debate as into the pits comes Thijs Korsman. He comes in from 11th place and he picks up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is not ideal. The second driver to pick up that penalty after Damien Curiel, as he came in, and Oliver Knott once again struggling with the track limits. Another 3-second heads the Williams' way. He is rapid. I was making this point earlier. He is absolutely rapid as he retires from the session. He's absolutely rapid. He just needs to iron out the mistakes. That is the only thing he needs to do, because he is quick enough to keep up with these guys. Just needs to avoid the mistakes. Knott has now left the session, and well, that's not ideal for him. And Thijs Korsman, he's up to 20 seconds worth of penalties now. He's crossed the pit exit white line. And for the Ferrari, his day goes from bad to worse. Down the inside goes Liam Stevens, maybe on Buba. Buba leaves him the space, in fact, on the exit, so he wasn't quite expecting the McLaren to try and go through. The McLaren, though, has gone through, and he is up into 3rd place, onto the podium. Sergio has the pace over Race Imtiaz now, 2.2 seconds, and it looks as though the Mercedes is going to go on to win this race. Race and Liam look like they're going to scrap it out for P2, as Buba's not quite got the pace on those hards. But yeah, Liam giving Buba a little bit of a scare, and it ultimately really worked out for the McLaren as he made his way up, and he is now onto the podium positions, back up to where they were at the start of the race and where they've deserved to be throughout the races. We've got 3 wide here between Campbell Adams, Damien Curiel and Igor Piasecki. It's somehow worked out all right. Piasecki is going to try and retake the position of Curiel. He goes off the circuit, and in fact Damien just gave him a right old squeeze. He knows that he is on the better strategy, and Piasecki just desperately trying to stay in, and now Nolfo getting through as well. Not ideal for the hard runner as he tried to stay with the rest of the field. Couldn't quite keep up as he has that pace disadvantage on those tyres, and in terms of he didn't have the ideal run out of the exit, and he drops down positions now. But Piasecki is going to try and make his way back into this race, as that is the second time that he's run off the circuit in this one. Not necessarily his own fault either time, but he's just trying to keep those battles going, and it hasn't quite worked out for him. Piasecki down to P14 on a set of those older hard compound tyres. In fact, he's on the oldest tyres on the grid, and that is certainly not an ideal situation. I think we may well be seeing him into the pit lane on this lap or within the next few to make the switch, unless he feels as though he can stay within this pack as Liam Stevens goes and overtakes Race Imtiaz. The battle for the lead likely to be off, but Liam Stevens lighting up the battle for P2, and Ryan Grubb getting through on Florian Vanzelter with the DRS as well, and he's up to P7. Justin Ett making his way through on his teammate Igor Piasecki now as well, and that's 3 moves down the straight with the DRS into the first corner, and Justin Ett getting ahead of his teammate on the worst compounded tyre. And he is going to try and stay within range of Gianluca Nolfo as Cameron Dowds gets through on Vanzelter. Vanzelter maybe looking to the inside to fight back, as he didn't quite get the run, didn't quite get the inside line, and he stays in behind. But Vanzelter is going to continue to try and fight this one as they head through the next couple of corners, and Campbell Adams picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings as he tried to stay within range. Vanzelter now under pressure from Felipe Sousa. This could be a switch for that P9, but no, Felipe Sousa didn't quite get the run that he would have wanted to attack, and he almost came under pressure from Campbell Adams instead. Looking at the penalty situation for the end of the race, Campbell Adams and Damien Curiel will drop right down to the very back of the pack that they're in at the moment, and well, Felipe Sousa will be staying in that position even if Campbell Adams makes his way through. Gianluca Nolfo, Justin Ett and Igor Piasecki will be promoted, but if Igor does lose that DRS like he looks like he's going to, and indeed he has, then it's unlikely that he's going to be able to make his way back through into it, as Gianluca didn't want that slipstream down the straight, interestingly enough. Maybe he didn't want to give it to Justin Etz, who was refusing to yield off that line. But yeah, Gianluca, not the first driver, Damien Curiel being the other one, to pull off to the middle of the circuit down the straight. So maybe he feels as though there is a couple of bumps as Fanzelter coming under pressure from Sousa. Sousa switching to the outside line and Fanzelter trying to cover it off. But Sousa with the outside line once again. Fanzelter really trying to make that Ferrari as wide as possible to defend. And he's managed to do so on this occasion. Sousa did try and get the run on the exit, was ultimately unsuccessful in the kick. Sauber stays in behind Fanzelter in P10, but he does have the tyre advantage, and you'd think that he's going to be able to make his way through very soon. DRS is going to be available for the both of them, as it is for Cameron Dowds and Ryan Grob, and, well, Sousa, who, once again, doesn't get the best exit out of the corner, probably down to the dirty air, has to sit in behind. It could be a move down the straight, though, for the kick Sauber, who's going to try and do so. And yeah, it could be a switch once again for these positions lower down. They're all swapping, all just continually swapping. And, well, Fanzelter could come under pressure from Sousa. But Sousa 4/10 back, he may well not do. And in fact, everybody pulling off to the inside line as Dowds tried to break the slipstream caused a domino effect. And Dowds staying ahead in P8, but not pressuring Ryan Grob. So maybe he feels as though his battle for anywhere further up, as he's 7.5 seconds off, so fair enough. But he feels as though his battle up ahead is off. Felipe Sousa looks to the inside line again of Florian Fanzelter. Again, doesn't see an opportunity for a move, but on the outside line, this is where he spots an opportunity. Around the outside, sweeps through, and that's Felipe Sousa into P9. So he's been shaping that one up for a couple of laps. He's made it stick, and now he sets his sights on Dowds and Grob, who are both on a set of the hards. So Sousa, at the moment, does have the advantage, and he's going to try and build that one up. And, well, break the gap down to Cameron Dowds, in fact, as there could be a move. Damien Curiel, once again, not liking to go down the line, the regular line down the straights, and Gianluca Nolfo looking to attack, and Campbell Adams ahead, looking to try and defend. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one as we head on to the last few laps of this race. As into the pits comes Florian Fanzelter. So maybe damage for the Ferrari, as he's in fact retired from the session. No damage for Florian Fanzelter, but instead he's just decided to retire anyway. So I'm not sure what's going on there with the Italian, but he's coming to the pits to retire. We will not be seeing any more of Florian Fanzelter in this race. I'm not sure what that one was all about. Obviously, I'd love to get interviews with all the drivers post-race. That's not necessarily possible, especially if Fanzelter had to go. Or he's probably switched his mind off now from this one. As ignore the invites, because I will be ignoring that one as well. Yeah, Sergio Sabrino building up that gap further on at the top. And that is working perfectly for him. At the moment, Rice Imtiaz not quick enough as Liam Stevens, and this is highlighting the point I made earlier about there's only 2 laps between them, but Stevens is looking much more comfortable on those tyres, or at least he's looking much quicker on those tyres. I think it may well be that it's just like residual damage from 24, so they are used to throwing it in a little bit, so while they're not throwing it as much, there's still a couple of corners where they slip, and at the moment it's not as close because of the fact that they're not quite as used to it yet. As welcome George Morgan in the chat, by the way. We are back for racing here on F125, or we are here for racing on F125. We're back here in PSGL, and we are so excited for it. 6 laps left to go in this race. Sergio Sabrino continues to lead the way. Liam Stevens, that gap is still increasing, and Imtiaz in behind. 6/10 back. It's stayed around 6 to 8 tenths, so maybe he is taking advantage of that as well. They're all sussing out the game as we go along, but that is certainly something I've noticed. And it could be something that those drivers have noticed as well as they continue on through this race, and they learn and they grow. Spain is a great circuit for those purposes, mainly because of the fact that it is so well-rounded. That is why F1 used to use it as their testing ground, but it's because we're using it in a race session, it's a slightly different scenario. But they've had the practice in time trial and in Grand Prix and all these sorts of things. They're getting used to it in an online session. Online sessions are generally a little bit different to the race sessions themselves, and it's about sighting it out and sighting out the difference. Cameron Dowds makes his way past Ryan Grob now as they both come under pressure from Sousa. Grob looks like he wants to fight back though, and he's not going to take this one lying down on Cameron Dowds. Dowds holds on to it though, and he stays in position as Felipe Sousa. I think he would be in that 7th place at the moment if he'd have sussed out that 6th, 10th gap. But because he is so much quicker than them, he doesn't think to stay back, or he's not planning on staying back. He just wants to apply the pressure and force some mistakes out of Grob and Dowds. And for Felipe Sousa, it's sort of working against him in this context, but it could work for him. As you can see, he's 2/10 behind as they go out behind Ryan Grob, but it sort of stays in the similar range, actually, on that occasion, so I'm proven completely wrong. But, yeah, the dirty air does seem to affect you if you're 6/10 or closer, and that is exactly what Felipe Sousa is finding out. But Ryan Grob he's about 6/10 off of Cameron Dowds up in front. And, yeah, Felipe Sousa chasing down, and he'll chase him down at the main straight. Grob 6/10 back, so Sousa is... While he was in the dirty air, he is now in the slipstream, and he's going to try and close in down the main straight with that DRS 3/10 behind it. Turns into 2, but Ryan Grob got that advantage on Cameron Dowds and switched back. Cameron was expecting it, allowed him through pretty simply, and allowed for minimal time loss into the first corner. I think they are happy to sit in that 2nd place, but Cameron doesn't look as though he's going to listen to me there. No, he does. He sits in behind. They are there. I think 2nd place in this battle is exactly where they want to be sitting at this point in time, because they are going to be just taking advantage of that DRS and that slipstream throughout the race. However, it's less powerful than it was previously, mainly down to the fact of the dirty air. So sitting in behind isn't necessarily as powerful as it was before. And for Cameron Dowds, he's just sussing it out. He was looking, maybe I go for an overtake, maybe I don't. But yeah, he doesn't go for it at the moment. He stays in behind, and well, he's pretty happy to sit in behind, suss out the overtake over the last few laps of this race. Maybe soak up some of the pressure from Sergio Sobrino. Nope, not Sergio Sobrino. Felipe Sousa in behind. And they will stay battling for that P7 right to the checkered flag. But yeah, Sergio Sobrino has been incredible in this race. He didn't feel the need to break free. Then he broke free, and he was absolutely fine. He has just soaked up all that pressure ever since, and he has flown away with it. Cameron Dowds swapping with Ryan Grob for that P7 with that DRS. They're now 9.2 seconds off of the top pack. And yeah, he's just been pretty happy, as into the chat. Iago Viana, hope I pronounced that right, saying it was a long time that I saw a P1 and P2 on the same strategy, and the P1 being able to extend the gap well. It just shows how good Sergio's been this evening. It just shows how good the Mercedes driver has been throughout the course of this race, that he's managed to stay 4.2 seconds ahead of Liam Stevens. And he's building that gap as well. I think he's played this one perfectly. And for Sergio Sobrino, getting that launch off the line was crucial. But ever since then, he has been absolutely flying away. Of course, don't forget as well that he didn't even start at the front. Liam Stevens started at the front. Sergio started alongside him. Liam got a decent start. Sergio got a better one. And he was able to pull ahead. And the rest is history. The rest has been what has been written over the last hour of this stream. Not even an hour yet. It'll tick over to an hour as we get to the end of the race session. But it's not even reached an hour yet. And Sergio Sobrino holds on to that lead as Ryan Grob retakes the position on Cameron Dowds. Dowds looked like he wanted to defend that one a little bit more on the inside line. But then Grob just went, nah, I'll take the outside anyway. And he went through on the outside. Cameron Dowds, the biggest winner out of this race. As Tyus Korsman was the biggest winner. He gained 8 places at the start, but he was on the soft, so that was always going to happen, and the drop-off was inevitable as well. He's actually disconnected from the session now, which is not ideal, as his PC has crashed, and we'll not be seeing any more of the Ferraris in this race, or at least we'll be seeing Ryan Modler probably get past Tyus Korsman's AI, but other than that, not much. But Cameron Dowds, the biggest winner, as he's gained those 8 places that Tyus Korsman did at the start. He's gained it throughout the race. He started in P16. His qualifying lap wasn't necessarily the typical Dowds performance that we've seen, but now in the race session, he's just calmly made his way up, and it's been a very mature performance from the Haas driver. Shout out to Justin Aerts as well. He started in last in his qualifying lap. think it's fair to say I wasn't impressed with. But ever since then, he gained positions. He's up to P13. And Felipe Sousa, I've been very impressed with his pace. As Reis Imtiaz makes his way back past Liam Stevens. And so the Red Bull, who I said wasn't holding pace with Stevens, has managed to make its way back through. Stevens is going to try and pressure into the next few corners. Of course he is, as we're on to the penultimate lap of this race. And he pulls to the inside line. He can make this one stick if he's later on the brakes, and he is later on the brakes. Makes Reis go the long way around, and he holds on to it. Now Booba's going to try and pressure them as he's back into it. Those hards are now sort of level with those mediums as the tyre wear towards the end of the stint nullifies the advantage from being on the yellow wall and the disadvantage from being on the white wall tyres. But Liam Stevens leading this pack. They're now 5.2 off of Sergio Sabrino. They're going to get DRS for the third to last time in this race. And this could be Booba shaping up a move, but not quite yet. He wants to get it down the main straight, you would imagine. And he will be shaping one up down the main straight. Don't sit too close in behind. But it is going to be very close to the end of this race as Sergio Sabrino rounds the final quarter for the penultimate time. And if he doesn't make any mistakes, he's going to cruise home to this victory. Liam Stevens, though, is going to come under a bit of pressure. Reis Imtiaz 8/10 back. So I'm not sure whether Reis is going to be able to pressure into this DRS straight. He's going to have to look to the next. Booba sitting in behind is not going to be anywhere near close, nor is Lighty. That is the hard compound tyre strategy for you, as they aren't quite close enough. But Booba on the exit, getting a much stronger one. But the dirty air from Reis, breaking his slipstream as Cameron Dowds gets past Ryan Grob into the first corner, squeezes Grob to the outside line. And that one was a pretty tetchy move. Felipe Sousa trying to get through on Ryan as well. But Ryan, I think, having enough overspeed around the outside to hold on to it. Felipe's still going to try and go for the inside. He can still sense that this P7 might be on, and he outbrakes Ryan Grob, gets through and moves up a position. Booba's lost P4 to Lighty, but they're still side by side as the action heats up. The final lap of the race is the final opportunity for these drivers to take positions. Race is not going to have DRS, so it's going to be Liam Stevens in P2. And, well, for Sergio Sabrino, this has been an absolutely incredible drive. Ryan Grob retires from the session. It looks like he's crashed into the chicane, but out of all of this, he doesn't care about all the drama that we've had in the final few laps, because Sergio Sabrino is going to take an absolutely dominant victory here in Barcelona, and that is exactly what he would have wanted to see. Liam Stevens taking that runner-up spot. Reis Imtiaz holds on to third ahead of TTM's Lighty. Booba had crossed the line in fourth. Lighty in fourth, Booba in fifth, JST taking sixth, Cameron Dowds holding on to a well-earned P7 ahead of Felipe Sousa, an equally earned P8. Damien Curiel dropping down the order with penalty means that Gianluca Nolfo will be in P9, Justin Etz will be in P10, Damien Curiel in P11, not sure what's happened to Campbell Adams, but that means that Igor Piaszczewski is going to come across the line in P13, and then Thijs Korsman and Valentino Labella will be our final finishers. But we have had an incredible race there around Spain, and that is Sergio Sabrino taking the victory. Well, what a win for Sergio Sabrino. Very well deserved, just considering the pace that he's had. And even though the strategy offset was more towards... it was more in the mix between those drivers. As you can see, all the fancy new graphics we've got. Sergio Sabrino, race winner, fastest lap for going for Ryan Modler. Driver of the day, Cameron Dowds for his 8 places made up. Damien Curiel with his most overtakes, but the 10-second really cost him. And then Cameron Dowds, the cleanest driver as well. Although with that move on Ryan Grob into the first corner, I think he's lucked out with that one, to be honest with you. But I mean, he's still made those overtakes, so absolutely fair play to him. Sergio Sabrino, of course, taking that victory ahead of Liam Stevens, and Reis Imtiaz taking third place as he just lost the pace on the last lap as Liam Stevens. I think he may well have had to fuel save. TTM's Lighty taking fourth ahead of Booba with JST in sixth, and that was the top 6 pack. Then a huge 9-second gap back to Cameron Dowds, Felipe Sousa, Gianluca Nolfo, Justin Etz, Damien Curiel, and well, that was a very, very good battle throughout the race. Then it's Igor Piaszczewski, Campbell Adams, Ryan Grob, Thijs Korsman, Ryan Modler, and Valentino Labella rounding out your field with Florian Fanzelter, Oliver Knott, and Gabor Shontos, your 3 DNFs. But still, 17 classified finishers at the end of a social race. That's pretty good going. Amazing drive, as you mentioned, Iago in the chat for Sergio Sabrino, and that is exactly what his team, what everybody would have been wanting to see out of a debut in this game. And Sergio Sabrino, of course, looking to push towards the higher tiers on this game, and that is exactly what he's looking prepared to do this evening. But a perfect drive from Sergio, and a victory, well and truly earned. I mean, we have the possibility, if the drivers so desire, to have an interview in this race, but we'll see whether they would like to do that. Personally, as I was off screen, personally, I don't think that needs words to be described. When is the next race? Keep an eye out, join the Discord, make sure to check out for the announcements, but for them, very good race, and I cannot wait until the next one. So for them, it was a very good race. For us, it was a very good race. And for you as well, I hope it was a very, very good race. Doesn't look like we'll be getting anybody in for interviews this evening. Nobody sitting in the waiting room. I'll give them a couple more minutes, but we will leave it there, I think, as well, we had 33 laps around Spain. And I hope you enjoyed it. I think it was pretty good. I quite enjoyed it. I think that was great. But yeah. I keep looking over here, by the way. The reason I'm doing that is because my webcam's over there. My webcam is also over here because I've had to set that one up on the fly because that one wasn't working. It was annoying me. So I'm naturally going over there. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the action this evening. And until next time. For the first time on F1 25, it is goodbye.